Hello, third grade, and congratulations on finishing our unit on home journals. Today we'll be doing a little unit celebration to look at all the work that we've done and to view some of our teammates' writing. Today I want to teach you that at the end of a unit, writers celebrate all they have learned by 1. Remembering types of journals, 2. Reading teammates' work, 3. Choosing their favorite journal, and 4. Writing one last journal entry. So first we're going to review some of the types of journals that we learned in this unit. The first type that we talked about was just a simple entry on some of the details of your day. You could write this entry at the end of your day after you've lived it and you want to remember some of the amazing things or some of the hard things that happened to you that day. I'm going to show you an example of a teammate's details of your day entry that's really solid. If we look over here at Leah's journal entry from Miss Klein's class, you'll see that she started her journal on April 15th, the day we started our unit, and she did her first entry talking about what's going on for her, both in her day and how she's been feeling about what's happening right now in shelter at place or in quarantine. I'd also like to show you before we move on that she kept all of her entries here in her journal document. That's so awesome because she could keep adding to this even once our unit is done. And she's going to be able to look back at this once we're out of shelter in place. And that's going to be a really amazing memory for her and for her whole community. The second type of journal entry that we looked at was poetry. We learned that you could sit in a nice place, think about the feelings that you're having, or just observe the nature around you and write a poem. I'm going to share with you 3 different poems from students that either in my class or in Miss Klein's class. The first poem that we're going to read is by Hamida. It says, "A beautiful garden with graceful plants. Our world has cities and towns that light up like stars. A beautiful garden with graceful plants. The best gift we ever had are life, trees, towns, and cities. Even our beautiful garden with graceful plants." I really like the repetition in her poem. That's not something that we actually learned in my lesson, but it's something you could try when you continue to write poems. You'll see that she repeated this phrase, "a beautiful garden with graceful plants." That helps her poem to sound like a song. Awesome work, Amita. Now we're going to look at a poem by Caroline that I just really loved receiving. And I also wanted to shout her out for keeping all of her writings in one document. That's going to be really exciting for her to look at later. April 17th, 2020 poem. Sometimes I feel like a lonely little seed in a big crowd of big apple trees. No one plays or spends time with me. My big sister said no, so I just went with no one else other than me. Today will be different, you see. People will finally play with me. We spend time together. People say that. Time passes fast. But save the moments that already pass. Make new ones to share one to one. You are never too young, too old to have fun. Today will be perfect, so join the hug. I love this poem because she talks a lot about how she's feeling, and she even compares herself to some nature, which is an awesome literary device that you can use in poetry. And then her poem starts off sad, but then it grows into a really hopeful poem. And by the time I finished reading it, I felt so hopeful and so excited to continue about my day. Great job, Carolyn. The last poem we're going to read today is a poem by John from Miss Klein's class, and it starts right here. Friday, April 17th, 2020. Gray clouds, birds, nature, bigger tree wiggle, cloudy out there. Grateful, happy, meddlers in the bigger tree. Vehicle moving in the other way on Ivy Ave. Stores closed. We need team. Nature fills me with hope. We always get together. Spring is coming, near or far. I also love how John ends his poem with hope. And I really love this part right here where he talks about vehicles moving, but then the stores are closed. That's a really cool contrast. Awesome. So, our next type of journal entry that we learned about, or that Ms. Klein taught about, was lists. And within lists, she taught us also about some goal setting ideas that you could do. So, let's look at some of our teammates' work around lists. First, here we have some writing from Sadiq. Sadiq wrote about some goals that he had for his time during quarantine or during shelter in place. He says, my goals: don't get bored, have fun, more spending time with my family, making a smoothie. Ooh, that sounds good. I'm staying home and write in my journal for 20 minutes. I like that he has a variety of goals here and he's staying really positive. Let's look at another example of a list. This is a list by Anthony. He says, Monday, April 20th, 2020. My quarantine list by Anthony. Google Meet call with my classmates and teacher at 10 a.m. every day. Ooh, way to stay organized, Anthony. Talking with my cousins, drawing, organizing, cleaning, cooking, learning new recipes, do schoolwork, eat lunch at 12:30. That's a great list, Anthony, and that's a really good example of a way to stay organized, to stay positive, and to keep completing your goals during quarantine. Oh, this list. I love this example of a list. This is a list by Ariana. It's a little bit of a different type of list. It says things that make me happy at home. This is a great type of list to do because it can help you to stay positive during a difficult time. All right. Ariana says cooking, playing Roblox, sleep, call my best friend Abby, talking to my class, taking photos on Snapchat, dancing, singing, watch YouTube and Netflix, joke around, changing, try some of my mom's stuff out, be on my phone or tablet, being lazy, reading, looking into my reflection. Awesome, Ariana. I love that list. All right. So now we're going to look at the next type of journal entry that we learned. That was letters. I love that lesson. So many of you sent some amazing letters. You sent them to your friends, you sent them to your family, and some of you actually sent them out into the community to appreciate people that have been working really hard. Here's an example of, again, by Ariana, a letter that she wrote. I'll read it to you. Dear Groceries Safeway, I'm here because I want to say thank you for all you have done for all humans. If you are not open, we will not have a lot of stuff to have, and you may be in danger. You guys are so brave to be out there. You guys are heroes, and a lot of people can't work. But you can, and that's amazing. Wish you luck. Sincerely, Ariana. Think College Now, third grade student. Ooh, I love how Ariana included the school and who she is. That's something we learned in the lesson. This is another example of a letter that I wanted to highlight. This is a letter from Marco written to his friend, our classmate, Dorian. He has the date here on the right, April 21st, 2020. Dear Dorian, I hope you're having a good time when you get this letter. How are you feeling when you're not in school right now? And what are you doing? I made a story that makes me remember you. Yesterday, when we were in the meet call, when we were playing Kahoot, you had a streak of 9, 8, or 7. Love, Marco. Awesome work, Marco. Now that's exciting because when Dorian receives that letter, he can write a letter back to Marco. That's a great way to communicate during this time. Alrighty. The next type of journal entry that we learned about that we're going to highlight some students was reviews. Awesome lesson on reviews. So many of you wrote amazing book reviews, and I have a lot of new ideas of books I want to read now. First, we're going to look at Wesley's book review that he wrote all about, let's scroll down to the section for book review. Ooh, Captain Underpants. April 22nd, 2020, Captain Underpants book review. Have you ever read a book that you just couldn't put down? One of those books for me is Captain Underpants by Dave Pickley. This book is so funny to read, and the characters are George and Harold. The two little kids were so bad, and they created the superhero of time. It was the amazing Captain Underpants, and it was so funny when I saw that he only wears underwear and a cape, and he was so strong, but when people pour water, he turns into the principal. And his name was Mr. Crub, the meanest teacher on earth. He screams at everyone. But think the thing is that Mr. Crub hated George and Harold. He hates them because they make Captain Underpants comics, and they are bad kids. They always get in trouble and go to the office to get something when they are in class together. They talk and they do something funny, so that's why they get in trouble. Awesome, Wesley. I would love to read Captain Underpants. That's a great review. Sophia, I believe, also gave a book review of Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Let's celebrate Sophia's book review here. She wrote April 22nd, 2020, The Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Have you ever read a book that you couldn't put down? Well, one of those books for me is The Diary of the Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney. This book is hilarious and crazy. By the time you finish, you will fall in love with the story and remember the characters forever. I give it 5 stars. The main character is the wimpy kid, but his real name is Greg. Parents told him when they were going on a trip, he was so excited to go. At the end of it, was going really bad. He has bad parents and his life is bad. One day his parents said they were being bad parents and I can tell here that Sophia was still working on this book review, which is awesome. That's a great thing about journals. We can go back and we can always add more. I really love how Sophia added this part. This is like a hook that we've learned earlier in the year. She says, "Have you ever read a book that you couldn't put down?" That's so exciting. And that makes me, as a reader, want to really keep reading her book review and find out what amazing book this is. Alrighty. And the next type of journal entry that we learned about was how to write a feelings journal. We learned about 3 different types of feelings journals. We learned that you could keep a gratitude journal, you could keep a journal on memories, or you could keep a feelings journal. Let's look over here at Isaac's journal. He has all 3, which is awesome. That shows me he really listened to the lesson and he put that learning into action right away. We're going to look at his gratitude journal. He writes, Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. Gratitude journal entry number 1. I'm grateful to have a sister. I'm grateful for having games to play. I'm grateful for having a wonderful mom. Wow, those are really beautiful reflections, Isaac. And that's already making yourself more positive and making the whole world around you more positive as well. Let's also look at his memory journal. He says, I remember I played the Spider Man game and I beat the game. I was happy but sad because the game finished. I've been there. I remember me and my family went to San Francisco and ate cupcakes. I was excited to eat them. I love here how Isaac really used the instructions that Miss W taught about using I remember to get you back into that memory and to help keep your writing stamina going. Let's see, we've got 2 more entries from our feelings journals. We've got Glendy. She says, Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. Today, I feel excited because today we get to have PE and art if we want. Also, because I get to be with my family together as one, and also because I get to see all of my teammates on FaceTime, so I can still learn with my awesome teacher, thanks Glendy, and awesome classmates. It feels like we're still in school, having fun with each other, even if we're not at school, and we have to keep doing hard work, and that is how I feel today. Awesome, Glendy. I really love how you just let your thoughts go and really got inside to how you were feeling. Our last entry on feelings that we want to highlight today is from Lizzie from Miss Klein's class. I'm going to scroll down to her feelings entry. This is so awesome because she wrote her feelings entry in Spanish. You can always write in a different language that you know in your journals. April 23rd, 2020. Feelings. Yo me siento bien porque yo jugué con los Legos. Oh, I love Legos. Yo me siento bien porque me gusta jugar con los osos de peluche. Me gusta comer pizza. Me gusta ir al parque. Awesome, Lizzie. This is an excellent entry, and I'm so excited to keep reading more in your journal. Now, we've got one last type of entry that we learned about from Miss Klein on Friday. This is our new learnings entry. So exciting. When you learn something new, you can always write that down in your journal. That way it doesn't just leave from your brain. We have 2 really good examples here of learnings journals, and there's a lot more. Many of you did this. First, we're going to look at Jamie's. Jamie was learning about who made pizza. She writes, I learned that Greece, Iran, and Lebanon had flatbread for a very long time. Did you know that pizza wasn't that popular back then? Oh, I love how she asks a question. That makes me engaged or excited as a reader. They put the leftover food on the pizza. I didn't know that. Then the person who made it is named Raffaelli. I didn't know that either, and I don't know how to pronounce that word, Jamie. I'll have to ask you. Came to Italy and made a pizza that was the color of the flag. And the queen loved it. He named the pizza after the queen. And because of him, there's pizza almost everywhere. And before, pizza was for poor people. I didn't know that either. Questions I still have. Ooh, awesome. Why did the queen like the pizza? Great question, Jamie. That's so smart to put a questions I still have section so that you could go back and research more. All right, and we're going to look at Julian's entry for his new learnings. We're going to scroll down in his journal to his learning log. He says, "Who invented cheese? Today I learned that cheese have been made a long time ago. In fact, it was discovered by Egyptians and Sumerians. After the cheese was discovered, it started to spread out around the world. Also, Romans developed different types of cheese." Wow, Julian, I didn't know any of that. Thank you so much for teaching me that, and your brain's going to remember that forever now that you wrote it down in your learning log. All right, so those are the major types of journal entries that we have learned about this unit. I'm so happy to see so many of you mastering and trying out these new types of entries. There's one type of entry that we didn't actually talk about, but that two teammates did on their own. This is a how to entry. I'd like to show you some work here from Dorian's journal, where he writes how to make pancakes. I'm not going to read his whole recipe, but you can see here that he goes through the steps for how to make the perfect pancake. And he even included these beautiful pictures. Something really cool about a how to journal entry is you could actually give that entry to someone else so they could do that thing. Like, for example, Dorian wrote this how to make pancakes entry, and you know what? Miss W made those pancakes following Dorian's recipe, and they were amazing. Wesley also has an awesome how to entry. He says how to make pizza, and he goes through the steps here for how to make pizza. This is great. Now I could follow Wesley's steps and make my own pizza. So, journal writers, remember. Well, before we do that actually, today your assignment is to pick your favorite type of journal entry and to write one more entry that we can share with our whole team. This Friday, we're going to get to share some of those new writings to have one more chance to celebrate our work in home journals. So, as a reminder, you could choose new learnings, feelings, reviews, letters, lists, poetry, or details of your day, or also a how-to journal. Awesome. Now, before we go, I want to remind you of one thing. Remember, journal writers can write journals whenever they want. Journal entries don't need to end with the unit. They are something we do every single day. I say this because we're ending this unit on journal writing, and we're going into our narrative writing unit, which is very exciting. But that doesn't mean that our journals have to stop. I keep writing in my journal every day, no matter what, because it's a great way for me to reflect, keep track of how I'm feeling, come up with new ideas, stay on top of my goals, write poetry, or just share some of my thoughts. Now, anytime you write a journal entry and you want to share it with your teacher, please continue to do that. We will love to keep reading them. Great work, and a shout out to all the teammates who were brave to share their work on this video. Have a great day.